Hello there, thanks for joining us. Canada's immigration laws allow for Canadian permanent residents and Canadian citizens to apply to sponsor a partner, be it a conjugal partner or a common law partner or a married partner, to sponsor that partner to allow that partner to themselves become Canadian permanent residents. In this video, we're going to be talking about which Canadians are able to sponsor their partners so that those partners can become Canadian permanent residents themselves. So don't go away. We'll be right back. And remember to hit the subscribe button and to check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Donovan Francis. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer and I help skilled workers inside Canada and outside Canada to become Canadian permanent residents without having to deal with all of the complicated immigration forms that are part of that process. If you're already in Canada as a permanent resident or a citizen, then you may be able to sponsor your common law partner or your conjugal partner or your married partner to help them become Canadian permanent residents. Now, generally speaking, a common law partner is somebody with whom you are living and have been living for at least 12 months, and you're living in a conjugal relationship, meaning you're living in a relationship that is similar, that is the same as persons who are married. Okay, so if you're in such a relationship, then that qualifies as a common law relationship, and you may be able to sponsor that common law partner. Similarly, if you are in a relationship with a partner who is outside Canada and a partner to whom you're not married, but you've been in a relationship for more than 12 months, and the nature of that relationship is similar to the relationship of a husband of married parties, then that too may qualify as a conjugal relationship, and you may be able to sponsor that partner and help them to become Canadian permanent residents. And of course, if you have a married partner who is not yet a Canadian permanent resident, you would also be able to sponsor that person, or you may be able to sponsor that person rather, and to help them to become Canadian permanent residents. Now, before you are able to sponsor a partner, you must obviously be Canadian permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, and you must be over the age of 18 years old. In addition, you must plan to live in Canada when your sponsored relative becomes a Canadian permanent resident. Persons who are sponsors who are themselves Canadian permanent residents are not able to sponsor a partner while they are outside Canada. So if you're a permanent resident and you plan to be outside Canada, you will not be able to sponsor your partner at that time. You can only sponsor a partner while you're present, while you're here in Canada. If you are a Canadian citizen, you may be able to sponsor a partner even while you're outside of Canada. However, you will have to plan. Your intention must be that you will be living in Canada at the time that sponsored partner becomes a Canadian permanent resident. So that's important. It's important for you to bear that in mind. It's also important that the sponsor not be currently receiving any social benefits from the government. If you are, then that will render you ineligible to sponsor a partner to become a Canadian permanent resident. You must also be able to meet the basic needs of this partner. So you must be in a position to ensure that the basic financial needs of your partner are met when that person, if and when, in order for you to be able to sponsor that person and to help them become a Canadian permanent resident. This also applies to the dependent children of the partner you're wanting to sponsor, and dependent children of the dependent children, should they have kids of their own. This also applies to them. You will also need to be able to meet their basic needs. However, it's important to note that if the partner you're wanting to sponsor has a dependent child who in turn has a kid of their own or children of their own, then where that's the case, then you will have to meet a minimum income threshold that the government have. You have to be able to show that you are in receipt of a household income that meets a minimum threshold. This is not necessary if you're only sponsoring a partner or if you're only sponsoring a partner and their dependent child. It becomes necessary when the dependent child has dependent children of their own. So that's going to be important for you to bear in mind if you're wanting to sponsor a partner to become a Canadian permanent resident. It is also important that you had not previously sponsored another spouse within the last 3 years. So if you sponsored a spouse and the undertaking period is within the last 3 years, then that renders you ineligible to apply. Also, if you sponsored somebody, a family member previously, and that family member ended up applying for social assistance from the government, then that renders you ineligible as well. If you were ordered by the court to pay alimony or to pay child support and you did not pay this, then that too will render you ineligible. Similarly, if you were convicted for any kind of serious criminal offenses, then those two could potentially render you ineligible to apply to sponsor a partner to become a Canadian permanent resident. Also, persons who were themselves sponsored to become a Canadian permanent resident and 5 years have not passed since you yourself was sponsored as a partner to become a Canadian permanent resident, then you would be ineligible to apply to sponsor a partner to become Canadian permanent resident. So I hope you found value from this video, and if you did, do go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and also check us out on our website at go.gooselaw.com.